there. We didn't see you.
Welcome to Drama
With Llamas.
in Pajamas.
We are the Drama Llamas. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Athanasia. And we are classical actors who have been making art together for 13 years.
We are here with you today to help bring you into the world of classical theater. We hope to teach you how to understand mostly Shakespeare, but also classical playwrights and genres.
Remember, no one wrote a play hoping it would bore you. So we hope to help you not only understand, but to enjoy this work as well.
So, get comfy in your pajamas.
Grab your llamas
And let's do some drama! I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna parachute off the desk.
Go for it. You can do it.
Here I go. This is a mistake.
Whoop. You've passed the point of no return now.
I'm okay.
Tragedy averted.
Hello, and welcome back to our channel. I'd like to say we have something exciting for you today, but it's actually quite tragic. Turns out that Shakespeare was the ultimate doom scroller.
He really knew how to pile on the bad news. And just like you with your For You page, his audience knew how to eat it right up. But more than just an algorithm was behind all of this blood, gore, and evil plotting. Shakespeare had a very specific structure he used, much like a rom-com or a Disney movie, but with the opposite effect. This structure is called dun, dun, dun,
The Tragic Triangle. You may have heard that all stories have a specific structure of exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, and finale. The tragic triangle is somewhat similar, but a few key things have to happen to make a real tragic triangle. Shakespeare very much wanted you in your feels. Tragedy was meant to elicit pity or fear in the audience so you would relate to the main character and have a special place in society to process big negative emotions.
This has been called catharsis from the days of the ancient Greeks. It was supposed to be both a learning experience and a weird form of entertainment, like how you enjoy being scared at a horror movie. It worked. Today, Shakespeare's tragedies are considered his most powerful, most masterful, and most frequently performed works.
A key feature with the tragic triangle doesn't have to do with the plot. It has to do with the protagonist, and that is that they must have a tragic flaw. Protagonists in tragedies can't be bad people, or we would be happy when bad things happen to them at the end instead of sad. But if their misfortunes were random, it wouldn't make for a good story, would it? So, the flaw is somewhere in between. The play we will be getting our examples from today is Macbeth, or if you are in the theater, the Scottish play. Stay tuned for more on why that is. Most people argue that Macbeth's tragic flaw is ambition, his desire to be king and exert power unquestioningly. There is considerable evidence for this in the text. Let's take a look.
In this first scene, Macbeth is at a party and he is having an aside. An aside is like a soliloquy, but there are more characters on stage. It's like in a movie when you hear a character's thoughts as a voiceover, but they didn't have voiceovers in the 1600s, so they did an aside. You just stepped to the side, said what you were thinking, and it was a silent agreement with the audience that the other characters couldn't hear that. Anyway, Macbeth is having an aside about how he thinks he should be king and not Duncan's son, but he is feeling guilty about that. Then Duncan, not knowing what Macbeth is thinking, says how great Macbeth is. This example is from Act 1, Scene 4, lines 50 through 55.
Stars, hide your fires. Let not light see my black and deep desires. The eye wink at the hand, let that be, which the eye fears when it is done to see.
True, worthy Banquo, he is full so valiant, and in his commendations I am fed.
In this next example, we hear from Lady Macbeth. She is talking to Macbeth in her mind and describes her husband as ambitious and someone who wants it all, but doesn't like getting his hands dirty. Obviously, Lady Macbeth is of the opinion that you must crack a few eggs to make an omelet. And now, Athanasia in Lady Macbeth. As Lady Macbeth. In this example from Act 1, Scene 5, lines 17 through 21.
Thou wouldst be great, art not without ambition, but without the illness should attend it. What thou wouldst highly, that wouldst thou holily. Wouldst not play false, and yet wouldst wrongly win.
In this next example, we have Macbeth giving a monologue about his decision whether or not to kill Duncan and take his throne. Let's roll the clip of the example from Act 1, Scene 7, lines 2 through 7.
If the assassination could trammel up the consequence and catch with his surcease success, that but this blow might be the be-all and the end-all here, but here, upon this bank and shoal of time, we jump the life to come.
Let's paraphrase. I would be the biggest king, the best king. It would be awesome to be king. There would be no king better than me. My coronation would be huge. It would be big. It would be bigger than Charlemagne's coronation. Never in history was there such a big coronation. It would be so awesome. We got to fight like hell for our country and the right to rule it, even if that means going to hell.
So, Macbeth's the political play, huh?
And you all thought Shakespeare wasn't relevant to modern times.
Moving right along. Alternatively to ambition, one could argue that Macbeth's tragic flaw is his gullibility or his lack of personal values. He tends to listen to whoever praises him the most, regardless of whether they are a trustworthy source. When he's left alone, he doesn't make good decisions. Let's look at some examples. Here Macbeth has just decided in a soliloquy not to kill Duncan, but then his wife comes in and, well, you'll see. In this example from Act 1, Scene 7, lines 31 through 77.
We will proceed no further in this business. He hath honored me of late, and I have bought golden opinions from all sorts of people, which would be worn in their newest gloss, not cast aside so soon.
Was the hope drunk wherein you dressed yourself? Hath it slept since? And wakes it now to look so green and pale at what it did so freely? From this time such I account thy love.
Prithee, peace. I dare do all that may become a man. Who dares do more is none.
What beast was then that made you break this enterprise to me? When you durst do it, then you were a man. And to be more than what you were, you would be so much more the man. Nor time nor place did then adhere, and yet you would make both. They've made themselves, and that their fitness now does unmake you.
If I should fail?
We fail. But screw your courage to the sticking place, and we'll not fail. When Duncan is asleep, where to the rather shall his day's hard journey soundly invite him. His two chamberlains will I with wine and wassails so convince that memory, the warder of the brain, shall be a fume. And when in swinish sleep their drenched natures lie as in a death, what cannot you and I perform upon the unguarded Duncan?
Will it not be received when we have marked with blood those sleepy two of his own chamber, and then use their very daggers that have done it?
Who dares receive it other?
Apparently, all it takes is a wee insult to his masculinity, and Macbeth is back on the path to murder. It is a very strange concept, but Lady Macbeth seems to imply that if he won't commit a political assassination, he doesn't love her, but okay.
In this next example, Macbeth is deciding to see the Weird Sisters for advice, or the witches. He can't think for himself, and he even says he needs help making a decision. In Act 2, Scene 4, lines 131 through 138.
I will tomorrow, and betimes I will, to the weird sisters. More shall they speak, for now I am bent to know, by the worst means, the worst, for mine own good, all causes shall give way. I am in blood, steeped in so far, that should I wade no more, returning were as tedious as go o'er. Strange things I have in my head, that will to hand, which must be acted ere they may be scanned.
If you are an actor or director handling this role, be very sure which of these flaws you decide to emphasize. The tragic flaw is like foreshadowing. It has to be highlighted from the minute they step onto the stage. And even though Macbeth is a great psychological drama, keep it simple, sweetie.
In a tragic triangle, the intro and rising action is pretty much the same as a non-tragic story. The difference in the triangle starts at the climax, with what is called the point of no return.
Dun
Dun, dun, dun. This may mean that the climax isn't where you think it should be. It may not be a big fight or a scathing soliloquy. The point of no return is simply the moment when the protagonist can no longer avert the tragic ending. At any point in the rising action beforehand, they could have made a different decision, asked for help, or stopped what they were doing. But now, it's too late.
And that should hit the audience like a ton of bricks. In Macbeth's case, this comes when he overreacts to Macduff leaving the country by ordering his family killed. Macbeth hasn't solved the problem of Macduff raising an army against him. He has succeeded in not only causing some pretty gruesome murders, but also in turning the rest of Scotland against him, including his own wife. Nobody obeys him out of loyalty anymore, just fear. And that is not sustainable. In fact, it's only sustainable for about another half an hour before, spoiler alert, he gets beheaded. The scene we want to show as an example has a lot of characters in it. Macbeth, the three weird sisters, 3 apparitions. Actually, aren't there 4?
4.
4. And the nobleman Lennox. Since we are only 2, our llamas and their friends will help us in this scene from Act 4, Scene 1, lines 61 through 170.
By the pricking of my thumb, something wicked this way comes.
How now, you secret black and midnight hags? What is't you do?
A deed without a name.
I conjure you, by that which you profess, howe'er you come to know it, answer me. Though bladed corn be lodged and trees blown down, though castles topple on their warders' heads, even till destruction sicken, answer me to what I ask you.
Speak, demand, will answer. Say, if thou'st rather hear it from our mouths, or from our masters.
Call 'em, let me see 'em.
Poor in so's blood that hath eaten her 9 Pharaoh, grease that sweeten, from the murder's gibbet throw into the flame. Come high or low, thyself and office deftly show.
Tell me, thou unknown power.
He knows thy thought. Hear his speech, but say thou naught. Macbeth, 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 beware Macduff, beware the Thane of Fife. Dismiss me, enough.
Whate'er thou art, for thy good caution thanks. Thou'st harped my fear aright, but one word more.
He will not be commanded. Here's another, more potent than the first. Macbeth, Macbeth, Macbeth.
Had I 3 ears, I'd hear thee.
Be bloody bold and resolute. Laugh to scorn the power of man, for none of women born shall harm Macbeth.
Then live, Macduff, what need I fear of thee? But yet I'll make assurance double sure, and take a bond of fate. Thou shalt not live, that I may tell pale-hearted fear it lies, and sleep in spite of thunder. What is this? that rises like the issue of a king, and wears upon his baby brow the round and top of sovereignty.
Listen, but speak not to it.
Be lion-mettled, proud, and take no care who chafes, who frets, or where conspirers are. Macbeth shall never vanquished be until great Burnham Wood to high Dunsinane Hill shall come against him.
That will never be. Who can impress the forest, bid the tree unfix his earthbound root? Sweet bodements, good. Rebellion's head, rise never till the wood of Burnham rise, and our high-placed Macbeth shall live the lease of nature, pay his breath to time and mortal custom. Yet my heart throbs to know one thing. Tell me, if your art can tell so much, shall Banquo's issue ever reign in this kingdom?
Seek to know no more.
I will be satisfied. Deny me this, and an eternal curse fall on you. Let me know. Why sings that cauldron, and what noise is this?
Show, show, show.
Show his eyes and grieve his heart. Come like shadows, so depart. Thou art too like the spirit of Banquo. Down! Thy crown does sear mine eyeballs, and thy hair, thou other gold-bound brow, is like the first. A third is like the former. Filthy hags, why do you show me this? I'll see no more. And yet the fourth appears, who bears a glass which shows me many more. And some I see that twofold balls and treble scepters carry. Horrible sight! Now I see 'tis true, for the blood-boltered Banquo smiles upon me and points at them for his. What, is this so?
Aye, sir, all this is so. But why stands Macbeth thus amazedly? Come, sisters, cheer we up his sprites, and show the best of our delights.
Where are they? Gone! Let this pernicious hour stand I accursed in the calendar. Come in without there.
What's your grace's will?
Saw you the weird sisters?
No, my lord.
Came they not by you?
No, indeed, my lord.
Infected be the air whereon they ride, and damned all those that trust them. I did hear the galloping of horse. Who was't came by?
'Tis 2 or 3, my lord, that bring you word Macduff is fled to England.
Fled to England?
Aye, my good lord.
Time thou anticipatest my dread exploits. The flighty purpose never is o'ertook unless the deed go with it. From this moment the very firstlings of my heart shall be the firstlings of my hand. And even now, to crown my thoughts with acts, be it thought and done, the castle of Macduff I will surprise. Seize upon Fife, give to the edge of the sword his wife, his babes, and all unfortunate souls that trace him in his line. No boasting like a fool. This deed I'll do before this purpose cool.
See how it is all coming together? His dependence on the witches, even though they give him unclear answers, the new mindset he has taken on that instantly jumps to brutality and revenge, and above all, the deep insecurity about holding on to what he wanted at the beginning of the play, the throne of Scotland. We will never see the kind, brave, and loving Macbeth from Act 1.
The second to the last piece of the triangle is the falling action. It doesn't differ much from non-tragedies, but the ending has some specific features which need to be contrasted with comedy. In modern times, a tragedy indicates sad and a comedy indicates funny, but in Shakespeare's time, those lines were blurred. Tragedies could actually be quite hilarious, such as what takes place in Act 4, Scene 2, lines 30 through 60.
After Macduff has left the country, his wife is angry and jokes to her son that his father is dead. A very silly dialogue ensues, probably to break the tension since we know what's in store for them shortly.
Sirrah, your father's dead. And what will you do now? How will you live?
As birds do, mother.
What, with worms and flies?
With what I get. And so do they.
Poor bird, thou'dst never fear the net nor lime, the pitfall nor the gin.
Why should I, mother? Poor birds they are not set for. My father is not dead, for all your saying.
Yes, he is dead. How wilt thou do for a father?
Nay, how will you do for a husband?
Why, I can buy me 20 at any market.
Why, was my father a traitor, mother?
Aye, that he was.
What is a traitor?
Why, one that swears and lies.
And be all traitors that do so?
Every one that does so is a traitor, and must be hanged.
And must they all be hanged that swear and lie?
Every one.
Who must hang them?
Why, the honest men.
Then the liars and swearers are fools. For there are liars and swearers enow to beat the honest men and hang them up.
Now God help thee, poor monkey.
Even during the murder, Shakespeare drops a joke. The murderer calls Macduff's son, "What, you egg, young fry of treachery?" which is from the same scene that you just saw, lines 84 to 85.
Our last example is from Act 5, Scene 3, lines 12 through 21, in which a scared young servant comes to report to Macbeth that Scotland is being attacked. Macbeth lays on some pretty salty insults on this poor kid, whom you can imagine trembling in the throne room. Insults are always a good way to get cheap laughs. Even Shakespeare knew that.
Where gottest thou that goose look?
There are 10,000
Geese, villain!
soldiers, sir.
Go prick thy face, and overread thy fear, thou lily-livered boy. What soldiers, Patch, death of thy soul? Those linen cheeks of thine are counselors to fear. What soldiers, Wayface?
The English force, so please you.
Take thy face hence!
I think I'm going to steal "Take thy face hence" for the next time I want to end a conversation.
Anyway, as for the comedies, they could have some poignant, if not downright depressing moments. Watch Much Ado About Nothing if you don't believe us.
A comedy restored order to the chaotic world of drama by marrying off everybody important at the end. A tragedy accomplishes this by killing them. At the end of Macbeth, let's tally the body count, shall we? Macbeth, Lady Macbeth, Duncan, Banquo, Lady Macduff, Macduff's son, and some offstage characters we don't meet, like the original Thane of Cawdor and the Norwegian army.
We see the seeds of a new story planted with young Malcolm, Duncan's son, becoming king as he should have and elevating the rank of the remaining nobility. The country can begin to heal again, but we don't get to see that. We get catharsis instead. Curtain closes, fin.
As grim as that sounds, tragedies still have a lot of beauty, and tragic heroes still have a lot of admirable qualities. With Macbeth, for example, he really loved his wife. He writes a letter to Lady Macbeth about his first encounter with the Weird Sisters. Lady Macbeth reads this in Act 1, Scene 5, lines 10 to 13.
This have I thought good to deliver thee, my dearest partner of greatness, that thou mightst not lose the dues of rejoicing by being ignorant of what greatness is promised thee.
In the demeaningly patriarchal society of Shakespeare's day, calling one's wife my dearest partner of greatness would stand out as exceptional. This next example shows us how in tune they are when coming down from murdering Duncan. They have some split lines when talking back and forth. They're almost breathing together in Act 2, Scene 2, lines 13 through 19.
My husband!
I have done the deed. Didst thou not hear a noise?
I heard the owl scream and the crickets cry. Did not you speak?
When?
Now.
As I descended?
Aye.
Hark! Who lies in the second chamber?
Donalbain.
This is a sorry sight.
A foolish thought to say a sorry sight. In our final example of Macbeth's love for his wife, in Act 3, Scene 2, lines 30 through 37, Macbeth shows that Lady Macbeth is the only person he can be honest with. He has to keep his fears and suspicions from everyone else.
So shall I love, and so, I pray, be you. Let your remembrance apply to Banquo. Present him eminence both with eye and tongue. Unsafe while that we must lave our honours in these flattering streams, and make our faces vizards to our hearts, disguising what they are.
You must leave this.
Oh, full of scorpions is my mind, dear wife.
It's a great line. Full
It
of
is.
scorpions is my mind.
Next time you are studying a tragedy, you will see how the tragic structure makes these contrasts stand out and teaches us something about our much less structured human experience. Tune in next time for another and shorter Get Ready With Me Halloween style.
We will be learning some of that fantasy makeup we talked about before, and we will be discussing theater superstitions and the supernatural in Shakespeare's play. Make sure you mark the date in your planner, because if it's not in your planner, then it doesn't exist.
And please remember, if you like our vibe,
There is that button that is called subscribe.